Hello, this is Chris Chilcott with Harper Harrison, and today I am joined by Brad Stein, the president at Intracorp in Texas. Hello, how are you doing today?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Chris?
Yeah, very well today, thank you. Very well indeed. It's been a bit of a busy week, but we're getting through it, which is nice, and the markets are definitely recovering wonderfully, which is very refreshing to see these days. But I know we've spoken in the past, but I wanted to dive straight on in, if that's okay, and really just learn a little bit more about yourself, because I know we've seen the professional side of yourself and what Intracorp are doing at the moment in Texas. I'd love to learn a little bit more about kind of your background and how we got to where we are today, heading up the kind of charge into Texas for Intracorp. But yeah, to kick off, could you give me a kind of a run through or a background on how you got into real estate in the first place, please?
Sure. I see people a lot of times come into real estate from maybe three different backgrounds. One, a financial background, or two, a technical background, architects, engineers, construction specialists, or three, legal backgrounds. So my background is legal. I was a practicing lawyer in real estate and big international law firms in Los Angeles, and then worked in-house for a real estate company in Austin, Texas, and then kind of started managing real estate and made a move within the company. And then I had an opportunity to start the Texas operations for Intracorp 3 years ago. And so that's taken me to the position where I am today.
No worries. And how's the journey been with Intracorp, kind of starting from really the ground up, to use a real estate pun?
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, it's we operate a bit like a startup here in Austin. So it was me alone in 2018, and we had a major project, a $250 million 49-story, 309-unit condo high-rise that we put under contract my first week. And then now we have 7 people, and we're working on four projects right now. So it's been very exciting, and the Austin market is, as you mentioned, seeing explosive growth, and so that's helped us too.
Fantastic stuff. It's definitely been an impressive trajectory that you guys have gone in the last couple of years, and I know some of the projects, obviously, that you've got under your belt are truly spectacular. So I'm glad to hear it's been well, keeping up with the Austin market, really, I guess, is half the challenge these days. But no, fantastic. I really appreciate it. And what do you think makes the real estate sector so unique to work in?
So I would say that you get to, what I really enjoy about real estate development, what I think makes it unique, is that you get to take a piece of land, and it's almost like a canvas. You get to design something from scratch and really build something from the ground up. So you get to work with different people to help you create something on this canvas that might have come from an idea or a concept, and then you build this finished product, and you can be really proud of what you built and all the work that went into it over several years these projects take. You can be proud that the project will impact a lot of people, whether it's an office project or a residential project or a hotel. It's going to employ a lot of people. It's going to give people homes or offices, and so the projects that are built in the real estate industry really do make an impact on people and their communities.
No, absolutely, and I think it's exactly that. It's being able to look back and have pride in the work you've done, which I think you don't always get if you're working in a bank or in the finance world. Kind of necessarily, you can look back at a nice Excel spreadsheet and feel satisfied with the end result, but it's not quite the same as the creative process of being able to look at a building and think, I was part of that. I did that, and it's a nice thing you can bring friends
But
and
I
family
would add
past.
that, yeah, I would add that people that work in banking or in legal or in architecture or engineering, they're all a key part of the real estate development process. So they should feel the same level of pride that they were involved in a key aspect of putting these projects together. All these projects are really complicated, and they take a qualified team of people. And so everybody from the title companies to the bankers and lawyers and accountants and architects and engineers, everybody plays a vital role in making sure that these projects are successful.
No, most definitely. And from the ones you've worked on so far in Austin, out of curiosity, what's been your most enjoyable project you guys have worked on as a team since joining Intracorp?
Definitely 44 East, which was the condo project that I mentioned. It's our first project, and I really appreciate that Intracorp came into this project and came into this market wanting to do something very bold. And I also appreciate that we've done things that I would say were a little bit outside the box with this project in terms of our groundbreaking was our groundbreaking. We turned into a fundraiser where you could help demolish the building that we were taking down for the project to raise money for the Trail Foundation. And then we seeded with that money a project to improve a city park that's outside 44 East. And so, being involved in our community and doing things a little bit different and trying to engage a broader group of people, that's been really rewarding for the 44 East project and the success of the project. And the team of experts that's worked on this project has really, created for us, we think an extraordinary community where we're on the 35th floor of 49 and we'll deliver it in a year, and we're 78% sold. So kind of seeing the reaction of the community and the success of our sales program has been really good too. And then I'd also add that we started building this 14 months ago, and we were literally in the midst of a global pandemic. And so we had some difficult times, and to know that our financial partners and our buyers stood with us through that, because they really saw that this project was special and they saw the Austin market was special. I think that said a lot as well.
No, I love that. No, absolutely. I think being able to give back to the community whilst doing the day job essentially is fantastic, and it really does show your commitment to the area and the city. And I think again, the buy-in from the rest of your teams, your partners that you're working with on these large scale projects is testament, I think, to the skill that you and your team in Texas do bring to the project, because people believe in you guys being able to deliver it, I think, and being able to give back to the community that you're in as well, which is immensely valuable. And you can definitely not put a number on that, I don't think, personally. And we've probably just touched on this a tad, but what part of the real estate, I suppose, sector do you enjoy the most? Because I know we've spoken about the creativity and being able to work with very diverse and dynamic teams in some really interesting markets as well. But what part of it do you think is the part that really, really excites you? You get really anxious to get in and get your hands kind of dirty when you get to this part of a project or this stage of a process?
There is a lot of getting your hands dirty. What I personally enjoy the most is the deal making part of real estate. And so in a project like this, there's so many deals from the land deal to your deal with your equity investors, to the deal with your lenders, to the deals with your buyers. And then even in between that, everything can be a negotiation when you're working with your contractors, when you're working with the city. So to me, that's a part of the real estate development process that I really enjoy, just the deal making and having to bring two sides together and have something, some common vision that you share with somebody else. I think it makes for a better project. And then I would say, if you're going to be part of the deal making, you have to enjoy interacting with people. This business is an interactive business, and you need to find common ground with people, and so that requires a lot of human interaction. You have to pick up the phone and call people. You have to meet people face to face.
Absolutely. And I imagine the last, as I say, 14 months have kind of thrown a few difficulties that way. How have you, I suppose, how have you personally found kind of running a business and working in a very relationship-driven industry during COVID, and how have you overcome the difficulties that's thrown up?
It's been a challenge. It's definitely been a challenge. I think you have to use technology like we all have, whether it's Zoom or Teams or GoTo or whatever your preferred form of virtual communication is. And you need to use that for group meetings that you would normally have in person. But I think the individual meetings that you maybe would typically have over lunch, an effort needs to be made to get on the phone and call people and just check in with them. How are you doing? What are you seeing in the market? What are you worried about? And so making sure that you keep those those connections going through one-on-one interaction, even if you can't be together in person, is really important. And now I think with people being vaccinated, we can now get back in person with people, and that's very exciting to see that developing now.
No, it certainly is. I'm definitely looking forward to getting back to the face-to-face side of the business. It's been a long time since I've been able to have a coffee and shake someone's hand over a meeting rather than jumping on a Teams meeting, which would be a nice change.
Yeah.
Video calls are practical, but I'm getting ready to get back to normality, I think, at this point. But no, glad you agree with that side of things. I know you said there's a few main entrance routes into real estate, and as you said, kind of coming from kind of the legal background yourself. What did you find most difficult about kind of transferring in initially, or kind of making the jump from being a legal facing role into a more of a hands-on real estate role, if you will? Forgive the brutal kind of structuring of that question.
I would say for me personally, with a legal background, I was really focused on words and documentation and deals and agreements. And the real estate development business is focused on those, but it's also focused on numbers and technical issues and design issues. And so getting myself up to speed on the engineering and the design piece, that was probably a learning curve, but luckily people were patient with me, and you have to know where your skill sets help, and where your skill sets are limited, and where you need the resources of your colleagues or the resources of your consultants, and to rely on those people to kind of fill in where you have gaps in your own skills.
Absolutely. I think it's exactly it. It's always a learning curve, and it's being able to have the confidence sometimes of asking the right people and just kind of filling the gaps in and making sure you're doing everything you can to keep moving forwards in the areas that maybe aren't your strengths, kind of as you say, coming from the legal background, but bringing a huge wealth of other skill sets to the table that someone who did kind of a finance based education coming through that route maybe wouldn't have had in the same way. I really like that. But looking back now, kind of having the experience you have had within the real estate, the success you've had within real estate as well, since kind of transferring over, if you will, what advice would you give to, I suppose, your younger self, kind of as they were coming into real estate, or even take it a step further back to that, as you were looking at considering what career to go into or leaving school, kind of starting out in your legal career? What kind of looking back now and all that you've learned, what advice do you think you'd give your younger Brad?
My younger self, a lot of advice I would say, but probably really to have patience, and to slow down, pay attention to the details. Sometimes when young professionals are starting out, they really want to be focused on as much output as they can, and a lot of times there's so much going on. We're in a really busy market right now, but it's really important to get it right. And so it's not so much about the quantity as much as the quality of the work. And so I would say that I maybe fell victim to that too, and feeling like I wanted to turn work over as fast as I could, and maybe not paying attention to the details as much as I should have. In construction, they say measure twice, cut once. And so I think that should hold true for whatever anybody's doing, whether you're focused on documentation, whether you're focused on a spreadsheet, whether you're focused on design, to just make sure that once you are presenting it, that you feel really good about the final product and the quality of that.
No, I love that. No, absolutely. I do think measure twice, cut once is fantastic advice for life generally, construction or otherwise, because it's the best way, I think, of making sure you're producing the best quality work you can do. I really like that. I think it's brilliant. And I know, of course, there's a lot of people who obviously look at real estate and aspire to work in the sector and in the industry and in any aspect of it, not necessarily just construction development, but there's a lot of people coming out of school now who are looking at it as being a very valid career path. And what advice do you think you'd give to someone now if they were either coming out of school looking to break into the industry, or just a couple of years in and kind of looking to making sure they're making the most of their career and bringing themselves forwards as best they can and producing the best work they can going forwards from today?
In addition to the advice that I would give myself in terms of having patience and slowing down and have the attention to detail, I would also say try to be a sponge and learn as much as you can, and try to get a broad base of both practical education and school-based education. And then I would also say, when you're thinking about your career, look at the bigger picture and look at how what we do in the real estate industry impacts our stakeholders in our communities. It's not. Ask yourself, do you want it to be just about the profit, or kind of a bigger picture? And we're always focused on the bigger picture here. Our goals are not our goals that we have for our Intracorp Texas team are not primarily to make a profit, but our goals are to create extraordinary communities, and to create communities and projects that we feel proud about, and that our homeowners and our stakeholders and our community will also feel proud about. And if that all happens, then the profit piece will fall into place. So looking at the bigger picture.
I really like that. It's definitely good advice, I think, for people coming in and sometimes getting daunted by the sheer variety and scale of the sector. I really like that. You can get lost in the details sometimes. I know real estate has had a fantastic last probably 8 or 9 months, despite a very slight slowdown due to COVID to start with. But what challenges do you think that the sector is going to face in the next couple of years?
So I don't think this is just a challenge with Austin. I believe and I read that this is a challenge everywhere. And I would say just affordability. And it's affordability not only due to scarcity of land in certain locations, which drives up land prices, but also a constrained labor supply, and also commodity prices. We're seeing the price of lumber right now skyrocketing. And so when you add all these together, it makes projects a lot more expensive. And so that requires the developer to kind of pass those costs on to the user, and everything becomes more expensive. And so that's the biggest challenge I see, is just affordability of projects, and those costs getting passed on.
No, absolutely. Do you think there's anything that we as an industry can do to help combat this in some way?
I would say a lower cost of capital would be nice. If we could all talk our lenders and our equity partners into relaxing some of their underwriting requirements, and they're still going to get a nice return, that certainly would be nice. If we can make governmental changes at the local and state level that are kind of more development friendly, that would always be nice too, but that's a whole other discussion. I would say that we could maybe look at potential disruption or changes in construction methodologies, and these disruptions and changes would be driven by technological advancements. And an example of this would be ways to modularize the cost of construction, or different parts of construction, and if we can kind of make more efficient construction methodology and construction types, that can save on cost and save on time. And so I think that technology can really drive that, and that might be something that can reduce the cost of construction.
Oh, fantastic. That's definitely really interesting. Have you seen anything kind of on those tracks, out of curiosity, kind of at the moment in the market, or is there anyone you're aware of who's kind of making headway in that direction to help diversify and mix things up?
There's a local company in Austin. We're not working with them, but their name is Icon, and they are doing 3D printed homes. And so I know that now they're building 3D printed homes, not only for buyers, but also for nonprofits, where these homes will help with giving homeless a place to live. And so I believe that they can create a home in a matter of weeks, rather than a matter of months. And so, these homes won't be custom homes, obviously, but this could be a solution that will help drive the cost down for buyers, and that could really help put a dent in homeless populations in major cities. So that's one that I'm really excited to hear about. And then others are companies that can help create modular structures for your parking, or for your towers on top of your parking, where these can be created off-site and then essentially be imported to the site, and then put together on site. So those are some things that might really help construction time and costs too.
No, fantastic. And yeah, there's definitely some interesting things going on at the moment in the I know Texas real estate market is kind of where we're discussing, but there are some companies who are making some quite cool strides now in the space. And I think it's definitely interesting to see what people are doing to help ensure that we are moving forwards and kind of progressing in the most effective and efficient manner, because there's definitely going to be a housing shortage at some point in the near future, which we need to be prepared for and tackle head on, I think.
Yep.
That kind of sums up the core real estate questions I was hoping to run through this morning, Brad. I really appreciate it. I do have 5 quick fire questions, if that's okay to wrap up on.
Okay.
Diving into, if you've seen any podcasts or listened to anything recently, you've probably got a vague idea of what's coming, but looking for kind of the first thing that pops into your head or kind of favorite item when I kind of run through this list, if that's all right. What's your favorite place outside of the US?
Spain.
Favorite cuisine?
Italian.
Favorite sports team?
St. Louis Cardinals.
Favorite book or podcast you've come across recently?
I really like the book Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Fantastic choice. I did love that as well. I could not put it down.
Great read. It's a great read.
Fantastic read. And your favorite building that you didn't develop or build? We can go global with this.
The Geary Hall and the Disney Geary Hall in Los Angeles. It's just a gorgeous building.
Fantastic. I appreciate it. That's it from me. I'll allow you to stop feeling stressed about the next questions I'm going to fire your way now. I really appreciate the time today, Brad. It's been an absolute honor speaking to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time of your day to speak with us.
Of course. Thank you, Chris. I enjoyed it.
All right, it's my pleasure.